Yes, I'm participating from at home today.
Wow, I didn't expect that.
I didn't either.
Oh, hey, your phone's ringing, Mayor. I
Yeah.
can hear it.
Kevin just texted me and said he can't get in. I'm not sure. Is he in the queue? Is he?
I don't see him in the queue.
Do you want me to call him and see if I can work him through it?
Okay, we are live on YouTube right now.
If we can't get Kevin in. So I'll send him the codes again.
Can he do it? Yes, he can. The suspense. We're waiting. See if his name comes up. Kevin. Can he do it? Yes, he can.
There he is.
Whoa, that's a big delay. Wow.
Into audio.
The suspense. We're waiting. See if his name comes up. Kevin.
Good picture of him.
Kevin's here.
All right.
Can he do it? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
There you
Whoa, that's a
Way to
big
go,
delay.
man.
You
Wow.
recording? Into audio. Larry, is it set to
Yes, we're
record?
recording and we're live.
The suspense.
All right.
We're waiting.
I'll call to order the October 27th, 2020 regular
Good
meeting
picture of
of
him.
the City Council. It's about 6:02.
Kevin's here.
All right.
Can he do it? Oh my
It's
gosh.
looping.
There you go.
Whoa.
Can you hear me?
Go, man.
You
Wow.
recording?
Somebody's watching YouTube at the same time. They need to turn it off.
Yes, we're recording quiet and we're live.
The suspense.
All right.
We're waiting.
I'll call to order the October 27th, 2020
Good
delay
picture of him.
City Council. It's about 6:02.
Kevin's here.
All right.
Can he do it? Oh my
It's
gosh.
looping.
Hello,
No,
testing.
we're doing that circle thing again in here. I'm going to stop the recording and start again if you don't care.
I think we're okay now. Does anyone hear any weirdness anymore?
Hello. Can you hear me?
I think we're okay.
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 All right, I'll call to order the meeting again, just in case we didn't get it good. Call to order the October 27th, 2020 regular City Council meeting of Pleasant View City. It's about 6:03 now, so welcome everyone. Because of the change, I'm not at the city office, and so I need to read this. In accordance with Utah State Code Section 52-4-2074A, I, Leonard Call, Pleasant View City Mayor, hereby make the following declaration that a state of national and state emergency has been declared in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, and that Governor Herbert has extended the emergency declaration for Weber County, and that state code has been amended to allow for the conduct of electronic meetings in an emergency without an anchor location, and that the mayor shall read or cause to read at each electronic meeting the reasons and facts behind the declaration, which is the COVID. And therefore, Pleasant View City shall hold an electronic meeting as provided for in the state code. All right, got that out of the way. Looks like we have the Pledge of Allegiance, opening prayer, reading, or expression of thought by Council Member Arrington.
So please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our Father in heaven, we're grateful to be gathered together tonight as a city council and citizens and staff. And we're so grateful for the opportunity we have to serve in this great community. We're thankful for the good citizens who live here and for their service to each other and how they bless each other's lives. We're grateful for our beautiful surroundings, for our mountains and just the beautiful terrain that we have to enjoy here. At this time, we're really grateful for the ability we have to vote and to express our opinions and to exercise our freedoms. And we pray that our citizens will be inclined to exercise those rights. We're grateful for our military and for their sacrifice and for their families' sacrifice. And we pray that that will be with them and protect them. We're also so grateful for our law enforcement and for the protection and the safety that they provide for us. And we pray that they'll be able to stay out of harm's way. And we're so grateful for their sacrifices. We pray tonight as a city council that we'll have clarity, that we'll be able to make decisions that will bless our community and the citizens that live here. And we know that this is a responsibility that we do not take lightly. And we pray that we'll be blessed and guided. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 All right, next item on the agenda is declaration of conflicts of interest. Does anybody have a conflict they need to declare?
Mayor, I don't have a conflict, but I am going to be leaving around 7:20 tonight.
Okay, we'll try to hurry them. That's a goal, guys. Let's go for it. Comments and questions for the mayor and council from the public.
Nothing on YouTube so far.
Okay. Consent items, the minutes of October 13th, 2020, and the bills of Pleasant View City.
Not the minutes, they're not in the packet.
Oh, not the minutes. Never mind. The
They're
bills.
not finished yet.
Okay.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we pay the bills.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Gibson, second by Uri. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous. All right. Business. First item of business is introduction of and discussion with Youth City Council Mayor Sam Gibby and Youth City Council Representative Sydney Palmer. Allison.
All right, thank you so much for having us today. And I'd like to start off by thanking Councilwoman Uri for all of her help and assistance with the Pumpkin Palooza and all of the food trucks this summer. And I just want to thank all of the council members for your support in youth sports and Youth City Council. Youth City Council is my favorite part. I love working with these teenagers and I look forward to this new group of youth that we have this year. The Pumpkin Palooza, we had 26 out of 31 participants come and help that night. So I think the group that we have are all excited and committed, which I think will be great this year in our efforts to do community service and try to make a difference. So tonight I'm introducing our Youth City Council mayors. The mayor is Sam Gibby, and a couple things about him is he has a 4.0 GPA. He plays on the high school basketball team and he is his ward organist. So that's pretty awesome about Sam.
Awesome.
And Sydney Palmer is the city council representative. So you'll see her once a month to do our Youth City Council report and also give feedback on different topics that she'll be prepared for. And a couple of things about her is she loves art and she is very good at it. I put that side in, she didn't say that, but she loves art, traveling, camping, and reading. So I just wanted to let you guys know that this is who they are. And if anyone has any comments or questions for them, I'll let them unmute and you can talk to them.
Great. Thank you, Allison. Questions? Anything you guys would like to say, Sam?
I'm stoked to be on this, be the assistant to the mayor. And this is my third year doing Youth City Council. I've had a great time. I've learned a lot of good stuff and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here. So thank you guys.
Great. Maddie. says Matt there. That threw me off there.
Sydney.
Sadie,
Sydney.
somebody Palmer.
It's Sydney. Yeah, I'm just super excited to have this opportunity.
I wish this COVID that was under better circumstances. Allison, how many youth do we have on our youth city council now?
So as of right now, we have 35 registered, which, like I said, our numbers are down from last year, but we came in force. They're very active for those who did sign up this year.
Awesome. Well, welcome aboard. Any questions for?
I don't have a question, but I'm excited for these two to be here and be involved, and I'm looking forward to the year working this year with them.
And my question was, how'd the selection process go to nominate you two in your positions?
So I did it different this year. In the past, Bill and I have held interviews, being that I wasn't sure what was going to happen with COVID. I actually just selected these two and talked through and gave the description of what the requirements would be. And they both show great leadership. Even if it's in a quiet way, they are great leaders and kind to everyone in the group. So I did hand select them this year.
And I want to be clear that she consulted with me before she didn't just go willy-nilly, out on her own. That was in an effort to try to avoid contact and limit things that way. So that's how that happened.
Well, that's cool. That means you two stood out above the rest in a certain way. So congratulations.
Thank you.
I would second what, oh, sorry, go ahead, Steve.
Mayor, can I make a comment?
Yes, please.
I would just like to personally thank Allison. I mean, she is, or you are, you're still here. Such a wonderful addition to the city. And Sam and Sydney, please pay attention to her good example. She has so much to give and so much counsel and guidance. And I just, there's nothing that Allison cannot do and cannot do well. So Allison, thank you for all the hard work behind the scenes. I mean, you go above and beyond everything. So, I mean, for me, and I think from the council, we could just thank you for all that you do for the city.
Thanks.
Thank you. Sarah?
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on the selection process. If Allison thinks you're a pretty good judge of character, that means a lot. That's a huge compliment. And knowing Sydney's mom for years and getting to know Sam's father, these are two stellar individuals, and she couldn't have picked better people to represent our city and work with her. And also to second what Steve said, Allison is a great contribution to the city. I love working with her and would love watching the youth city council with her in action. And I'm just happy to be a part of it. And it's a wonderful thing that for our community to have this available for the youth to step up and show their leadership and learn, effective skills in life that will take them far. So thank you, Allison, and thanks, Sydney and Sam. You guys are awesome.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I guess I'd be out of line if I didn't say welcome also. You guys will be awesome. Sam, I'm glad you got your dad's radio voice.
Thank you.
I got my dad's radio face.
Sam's got good hair. That hair is awesome. Anyway.
I'm a little jealous, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hopefully I don't lose my hair like my dad.
Sydney, you have good hair too.
Thanks.
You should see some of her art. She's amazing. Her mother's an artist too. Sydney is very talented.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Look forward to that. And Sam, I got to tell you, you reminded me a lot of me when I was young. 4.0, basketball.
The organ playing too, right? Yeah.
All, well, okay, no 4.0 basketball, but I did play the organ. So. And I did have hair. So,
Awesome.
thank you. Thank you for being here and thank you for being involved. Do that throughout your entire life. Be involved, especially in city government, if not beyond, but cities where the rubber really hits the road, so to speak, where we affect people's lives the most. So
I told him very much the same thing the other day when we met. This is where you can affect change on a real personal and intimate level, and it's awesome.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to item 2, which is a public hearing, discussion and possible action to consider a rezone for parcels along 2700 North as follows. Laurie, do I need to read all those, or can these just be incorporated off the agenda?
No, just refer to them.
Okay. Good, because that's a lot of reading. You all should have your agenda, right? So first thing I do is entertain a motion to go into the public hearing.
Mayor, I'll make the motion that we go into a public hearing.
I'll second that.
Motion by Marriott, second by Arrington. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're in a public hearing. First off, we'll have Jill present, and then we'll see if any of the public wish to speak.
Okay. First off, this is for all of the property down on 2700. If you look at your screen, all those lots that are outlined in yellow, those are the lots that we're talking about tonight. So at the top of the screen, you have our current zoning, which we have RE20, MUE, and A2. To kind of give you guys a little bit of the background of why we're doing this, besides getting the directive to push this forward, is we are wanting to preserve these lots for commercial use. As you can see at the bottom, it shows the general plan, which is the same with, the future land use. It shows general commercial. So RE20 and A2 are actually residential zones. And MUE currently has quite a bit of industrial uses within those zones. So what we are suggesting, or what we are requesting, I should say, is everything on the south end of 2700 to be C2. And the reason why we chose C2 is the ER fits there. That zone actually allows for hospital and the ER to be within that zone, so that way it will still be compliant with the code if it is approved tonight. The 2 lots right next to Fox Meadows, Phase 5, after doing some research, I'm suggesting a CP1, which is our neighborhood commercial, so that way it's more restrictive and it keeps with the neighborhood feel with that neighborhood right there. And also speaking with Jody Deemer, he was hoping for professional offices, which that would be permitted in those zones. CP2 is a little bit more relaxed compared to our neighborhood commercial, but it's not as open as the C2 zones. So I talked with John Ulibarri, and I've done a lot of research, and some of the questions that I've heard and come across is what happens to the property if it is rezoned. The current use will actually still be able to be used until either they stop that use or it's developed, or any physical change on the lot. So say they come in and they want to do a lot line adjustment or subdivide it. Once that takes place, that use can no longer happen. The property tax does go up if it is rezoned. However, the value actually goes up as well. It'll be considered a commercial value. And as a building goes on, the value will go up even more, but because there's no buildings there right now, it will still go up with the commercial tax value. So that would be beneficial to the landowner when they decide to sell. Another common question is, what qualifies for green belt, and there's a whole lot on there. So I'm just going to touch the basics. A minimum of 5 acres. There are a few lots, if you can tell, that are not 5 acres. However, they can still qualify for green belt, but under a couple other qualifications. And all of this can actually be found on the Weber County Assessor's website. It's actually full of a lot of information. I've been on that website for at least a week researching. It has to be devoted to agricultural uses, and it has to be there for at least 2 years. So if I am a property owner down there and it's rezoned, I can apply for green belt if I fall under these categories. And so there's tons more information on the green belt on that website. Another question that's been brought up is who pays the rollback taxes if it's in green belt, and when would they pay that? Usually it's when someone buys the property, then the rollback taxes are then applied. And if you think about it, and talking with John Ulibarri, there's no set person that has to pay it. It's kind of like when you buy a house and you can negotiate the closing costs. That's one thing that's negotiated, it's negotiable. Does the property owner pay it or the person that's buying the land? So there's no set person on who pays for those.
Jill, can I ask you, can you stop there for a minute and just explain to me? So an A2 is agricultural.
Yes.
And so what's the difference of that versus a greenbelt status?
I
think A2 is less tax, right? Or what? Just explain to me what the difference to that is.
A2 is less tax than other zones. You can apply for green belt no matter what zone you're in, as long as you fit those criterias. So for example, say I had a 10 acre or a 15 acre lot and the city wanted to rezone it, or it got rezoned for whatever reason to a commercial, but I have hay or horse, cows on there. The use can stay there as long as I don't change anything, but I can apply with the county and say it's this zone, but I've got agricultural cows on there and I'm growing hay. I apply for it, and then if it fits all those criteria, I can still get those low taxes for so long until the
use changes, right?
And the rollback taxes would come and apply. So
because under an A2, I don't have to have a crop on it, right? I don't have to have it used as that. It's just zoned agricultural.
So that's the thing. The greenbelt exemption is for a use. It's for an agricultural use, and it has to be a productive agricultural use.
Right.
It can't be the underlying zoning says agricultural. It has to be actually in productive, not necessarily profitable, but productive.
If it's a residential or an agricultural zone, they just get that type of tax for that type of zone, not necessarily the use.
Right.
The greenbelt, like Bill was saying, it is for the use, and it doesn't matter what zone you have. But if it's just an agricultural zone with nothing on it, you just get that zone because that's what your property is zoned as. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I know that's going to be an issue for some of these properties that were A2,
right?
Which is a very low tax, and we do it to commercial. I don't know what the tax change is, but I know it's significant. And anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
No, those are really.
You answered the question. That's a good thing. That makes it. It has to be an active cattle, active farming, active.
Yes.
Cultivating something to be in the greenbelt thing. Okay, go ahead.
So
can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Does it matter how much of cattle, or like if they had one bale of hay, does that count?
It has to be a percentage
Okay.
or annual production. There's an annual production requirement.
There's a formula that the county
Yeah.
uses.
In the county, and John Ulibarri's department, they're really wonderful to talk to. They're probably sick of me calling and whatnot, but they're just the kindest people. They're more than happy to answer any questions. So any of you people that are watching out there and have questions, I encourage you to call. They answer a lot of my questions because I don't know everything, but I try and do as much research as I can. So that is a good resource that we have in the county.
Jill, can I ask a clarification too?
Yeah.
You know, I've always thought it was a minimum of 5 acres, but you said there is also a 2-acre qualification as well.
Yes, I actually found this out. Last minute, I'm trying to run everything. Today, I found a place within the website that they said you may qualify if you are under 5 acres, but there's other things that they have to look at. I mean, so it's
for
possible.
green belt. Oh.
Yep,
Well
it
done.
was. So I want to try and get as much information as I could. But, you know, like with what Steve was bringing up, commercial is 100% taxable, where residential is a percentage of the valuation. So that's a jump. I did send some comments out to you guys after the staff report was handed in. You got a letter from a lawyer. They suggested doing an agreement. And just so you are aware, I've actually talked to, we talked to Brent Bateman the other day, and Bill was there, and Sarah, and I've also talked to the Ombudsman's office. You cannot have an agreement that triggers a legislative item. That's a typo. It's not says time. It's meant item. Sorry. So you can have an agreement for development, but it's not a development. It's the agreement that they're suggesting is to go along with the land, which a legislative item cannot be part of that. Does that make sense?
So zone changes are legislative, and that any sort of development agreement would only come into play when they come in to develop the property, and then the city could negotiate at that time. But putting a deed restriction on a title saying that whoever bought the property would have to rezone it to this or that doesn't stick. You can't do that. It won't work.
Correct. I mean, so that was a suggestion. Unfortunately, that wouldn't be a good one for us. And one of the biggest thing is, what are the causes that we could run into if we do rezone or if we don't rezone? If we do rezone, the problems that we're going to find, it's going to cause the property taxes to go up. It is. And, you know, that's not something that we really want to put on people. However, if one thing to remember, if it's not rezoned, anything that's permitted within those zones that they're in right now can come forth. And for example, if I have a lot and it's a residential zone and I come in for a subdivision, I kind of can't say no because it's permitted within that zone. If I can't, you know, whether it's agriculture or an RE20 and someone comes in with a building permit, I can't say no. And then there goes that lot. So one thing to think about is, you know, do we rezone it so we can set aside those locations for the commercial that we're wanting, versus do we want to rezone and increase property tax on those properties? You know, either way, it's not necessarily an easy decision that we have before us tonight. I have gotten some comments.
Before you go to that, let me ask.
Go ahead.
Does either the CP1 or this C2 zone contain any residential components?
I've looked through it, and unless I missed something, it does not.
Does it allow for mixed use at all in either one of those?
I don't think so, no.
Isn't there a small
Unless I'm-
home on 2550 in one of those lots?
There is a small home. If you look, it is, I don't know if you can see my cursor, it's right
there.
here. We are not touching that lot.
Oh, you've
It's
gone
half acre
around it.
lot, and there's already a home on there, and it actually doesn't even front on 2700. It fronts on 2550. So we felt it would be better just to leave that be, because it's not going to change anything, and it's
There's already a home there. Yeah.
Yep, there's already a home and it's established. There is, as you can tell, there's a home on this lot. If they decide to subdivide and cut this part off, and that stay they want to rezone this part to residential. The thing is, if we have the whole thing residential and we want to have commercial on 2700, they get to choose what zone. That's why we don't want to split a lot. It goes to the actual property line. This zone, or this property right here, if they cut this off right here to a different, say this person wants to buy the little sliver, then they could easily rezone that top part back to residential. Again, the reason being is because if you have two zones within one lot, they get to choose what zone they want.
So may I ask what zone the storage sheds are?
C2.
C2.
C2. But here's the thing. We have met our max with storage units as a city.
So we no longer allow that in C2 anymore as a use.
It is allowed within the zone, but no one can apply for more because we've hit our max as a city. Does that help?
Yeah.
Jill, I get the difference between CP1 and C2, but what you got CP2 listed on several properties there. What's the difference between C2 and CP2?
So C2 has more of the bigger commercial, more commercial available in the zone. CP2, if you want to put it as a tier 1 being the most restrictive and tier 3 the most open, but not light industrial. CP2 would be level 2 and C2 would be level 3.
Like, for instance, what are some of the uses in CP2?
CP2 does not allow hospitals. It does not allow bigger box stores type of, they do allow everything within CP1. They allow restaurants, they allow some shops. I think I put it in here.
Gas stations.
Yep, they allow gas stations, bowling alleys, lots of arcades. Off the top of my head, I thought I printed them, but I don't.
So
It should be-
CP2 is more restrictive than
your
C.
staff report. It should be at the very end. All the CP2 and the C2. C2 has storage units. It has hospitals. It has grocery stores. Oh, great. Now I can't think. Now I'm on the spot. I can.
Mayor?
Go ahead, Steve.
I would just like to make a suggestion possibly to you. I think we should hear from the public if there is any public, and then close the public hearing and have further discussion from the city council.
Okay. Got a motion. Is there any members of the public that wish to speak? I guess
I've got a couple of comments here when you're ready for them.
I guess this would fall under that, so go ahead.
Okay. I've got Rex Belknap on YouTube. He's saying that A2, the tax is at $37.17. The commercial tax will be $20,561. I went back and did a quick look at the county's records for taxes on his particular parcel. His valuation went from a value at 2012. The assessed value of the property was 1.3 million, almost 1.4 million on that. His property, just for reference, is that far westerly portion west of the Wildcat storage. The next year, sometime in 2012, the zoning was changed on his property to A2, and the valuation dropped basically by $1 million. And so he's paying taxes only on an assessed value of $311,000 rather than 1.3 million. That dropped his tax. In 2012, it was 20,000. This is according to the tax website, the county website, $20,544.86. In 2013, the taxes were $4,584.48. And they've actually gone down since then. I'm not sure why, but for 2012, his assessed value or his assessed tax is $3,717.62. So his point is accurate on that. The next comment that he makes is, our lawyer says that deed restrictions can be informed on buyer. He approached me, or he spoke with me a little while ago about placing deed restrictions on the property regarding the use and the zoning of the property. Their attorney has written a letter that I think Jill put in your packets or got to you guys with regards to a development agreement or the question of a development agreement. A development agreement is binding on the city and on a current property owner at the time of a development, and it doesn't bind the city to a particular legislative action. And legislative actions are taken by the city council at the time that they are being considered, either by the applicant or by the city's function, or just, in the course of the city doing business. So the idea that deed restrictions, which are not enforceable by the city, or a development agreement, which might be, but in this case is not binding on the city for legislative actions, neither of those would really help in this particular instance if that's the way the council wants to go. The next question, and these are all again from Rex Belknap. Have all council members had time to read our request to leave our property as A2? And are there any questions? He's listening in on YouTube, and so if you have any questions for Mr. Belknap, let's get those out there to him. He says finally that commercial zones will not help us sell our land. Our history is not favorable. You were given, I believe in your packet, a note from John Hanson, who is the real estate agent for the Belknaps and is listing the property for sale. Mr. Hanson also indicated that the property may or may not necessarily sell better due to the fact that it's in commercial zoning. So I'm just bringing that up as a matter of public comment and into the record. That's all I have.
Mayor.
Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, Bill, I don't know if you can clarify that the deed, that how they could put that in the deed to the part of the question that he asked, the very first question.
Yeah, so deed restrictions.
Is that possible or no?
Yeah, deed restrictions are binding on property owners within a subdivision or in a development. The deed restrictions are not enforceable by the city. And as there's only one property owner, all it takes to change the deed restriction is the majority of the property owners. And since there's only one, it would just be a unilateral thing. Yeah, a deed restriction as such is not necessarily a good answer to this particular concern.
Brent Bateman mentioned you can't do a deed restriction on a legislative item. I'm speaking
A
of,
development agreement, right?
yeah, development agreements with the sale of a property would go to whatever that new property owner decided at the time of development. You can't bind a city or a legislative body to enforce a certain zone, or even that applicant to apply for that zone. You can't bind legislative actions on hypotheticals in the future.
So Mr. Belknap, just and maybe to speak to his point a little bit, Mr. Belknap is concerned, obviously, that his taxes are going to increase significantly, and he is not in an exempt status right now, and would take him at least 2 years to get there. He doesn't. There are other constraints that he has mentioned with access to water and other things, and so that's where his concern lies. The avenues that he's being instructed either from his attorney or from whatever, they're not necessarily helpful to resolve the concerns that he has with regard to zoning his property. It will affect his property values, and what that looks like, we don't know at this point. If the past is any indicator of the future, it's going to be significant, and that's just something that the council, I guess, should keep under advisement. In making this decision. Yeah.
I have a question. So if we move forward and decide to rezone all these properties at any certain time, the property owner can come back to the city council and request for it to be changed.
Correct. And they've done that in the past. This, again, apparently was zoned as a commercial property in 2012 at the latest, and then was changed in 2013 to A2, which dropped the tax on that significantly. So,
do we know why? Did anybody look at those city council notes as to why they decided to change it?
Laura, do you remember that? I believe it's because of the tax burden. I think that's the only real reason driving that, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It wasn't for agricultural use because they haven't had any agriculture on the property.
No,
but
and
they could.
They could, and it's it's obviously beyond that. But then they have to do the 2-year window. They have to start, and then it has to be in productive agricultural use for 2 years per the county, and then they could be considered for the exemption. In the meantime, they're left paying whatever the current tax rate is, and the value is what it is on that property.
So let me just ask back. I think I heard earlier, I thought Jill mentioned that the development agreement that Mr. Chamberlain suggested is not something that's even viable.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Any other comments from the public?
One last thing, he just commented, okay, scrub the deed restrictions. We have started an agriculture. That looks like they're going to start looking at the agricultural exemption for that property.
So that's something they'd work out with the county and that they could take care of themselves.
That's right. That doesn't involve the city at all.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we end the public meeting.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Gibson, second by Bailey.
I have a question.
Okay, hang on a second. All in favor?
I have a question for the public. I mean, the Belknaps, have they had offers on the property? I mean, it seems to me that they're not really trying to sell the property, and they're trying to hang on to it for a lot longer. If they really have been actively trying, have they had offers? I don't know.
Mayor, you've got a motion on the table. Do you want to call for a vote before we talk further?
Yeah, I think that's a message the city staff can answer. So all in favor of closing the meeting, say aye.
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 Okay, now the public hearing. Now we're back to Dave's question. I personally talked to somebody that came to the city about a month ago, a broker, about that piece of property, but their interest was high density housing, not in commercial. So
Okay.
I have one more comment here. It came in just as we were closing that public hearing. If you don't mind, I'll just read that in. Mr. Belknap says original A2 in 2006, and strip mall was proposed but fell through. And finally, yes, offers, but have met opposition. And I'm not sure what that means, so I won't comment on that.
So may I ask a question, Mayor?
Sure.
So
Discussion.
question
Yeah,
slightly, whatever. So my thoughts are, if they've had offers or whatever else, and the city's moving forward proactively with working now with EDC Utah and the county and stuff, and doing things a little bit different and being more proactive. Of course, we can't speak in hypotheticals of what will come down the road, but we can move forward, with being positive and proactive with what we're doing. Things might change. We don't know if they will, but they might change, and we're taking a different approach, a new approach. And, the importance of reserving our economic future for the residents of all of Pleasant View is an important step. But proactively speaking, I think it's, we don't know what will happen if they've had offers on the property. Maybe there's some engineering we can look at or whatever else to make that property a little bit more accessible, marketable, whatever. So,
Mayor,
Go ahead, Steve.
just my 2 cents. I don't like this idea of wholesalely changing it. I know, what purpose are we trying to do that is to have commercial sales tax revenue come into the city. And realistically, we've had this battle before. I don't feel that we're going to get something that we want along there. I think we need to put our efforts down into our commercial area down west and have that be really where we want to push some stuff. Retail type things are going away. And we can see that really from this last, 6-7 months, online buying and things, brick and mortar are going to go away. And I don't want to have light manufacturing down there. I think that would be something along Parkland that we want to have. That's our area. I think this is going to be a bit more of a mixed use area than we want to see it. I know we fought, and Dave, that piece of property there on 1000 and 2700 several times has come forward for apartments or stuff like that. And we've voted against that because we don't want the apartments. I just don't see it. And if I were a resident or an owner of those properties, I would not want my taxes to just arbitrarily go up because the city wants to rezone it CP or C2 or CP2. I don't feel good about it. It just doesn't feel right to me. I think we need to have a little better plan than just wholesalely changing all these properties. It just doesn't feel right. And I know that speaks against, possibly Sarah. I know, we've had a little argument back and forth about the housing and the houses and things along our beloved commercial area, but I don't see, I don't know. I just don't see us setting that aside and then and having the property owners suffer, undue things. I think it is going to be something mixed that's going to have to go in there. Strip malls, we're not going to have those anymore. I just don't see those being built. Gas stations, they're going to come and go. I've talked to Dave Chugg about, down in Rule and White and trying to get some restaurants and things down there. We've had several people try to do some mixed use stuff further east from the ER, with varying degrees of success. I'm not going to make a motion right now because we need to have a lot more discussion on it, but that's my thoughts. And I'm going to lean towards not doing this wholesale change.
Mayor, may I make some comments?
Go ahead.
Thanks. So I've attended several of the EDC Utah meetings over the last 3 months, and in every one of those meetings, it came up that if you want to attract commercial property there, that you need to have the zoning commercial. You got to be ready for them to come. So that's something that's weighing on my mind. The other thing is the way we have it now, if we leave it like it is, we won't be able to protect our master plan. So if someone comes in, they want to put houses, they want to put something there, we legally cannot say no to them. And then we're going to have to answer to all the Pleasant View residents who want commercial, that sorry, we didn't rezone it in time, or we didn't have control. We had to say yes. So that's my major concern, is the overall Pleasant View residents we need to answer to. And I understand, like, yeah, this is a huge decision. This is affecting somebody's taxes, and it's in a big time way. But I also feel like we start plugging stuff in there, and then we've got hodgepodge all over the place, and we're a mess. So it's tough because we're weighing difficult decisions here. But I feel like if we don't change it, then we're going to be in a mess. So that's my opinion.
Mayor, may I make a comment?
Yes, go ahead.
I would second what Ann said. When John Ulibarri was here, when Holland Eubanks has been in those conversations, when we just talked to Chris Roybal, all of the, the people who are in the economic development arena, John Ulibarri, point blank, should we proactively rezone 2700? He said, absolutely. He said, yes, affirmative, yes. Holland Wilbanks, yes. Chris Roybal, yes. Cities that are seeing things happen are moving proactively and moving forward to, instead of reactive. And Pleasant View, unfortunately, has been in the game a lot of being reactive rather than proactive, saying, wait, darn it. We shouldn't have let that happen. And so if we're going to change the game and start to see things happen, it's a big decision. It's a huge consideration, but I would second or echo what Ann has said, that we have the entire city to look out for, and we don't necessarily know what's going to happen. And so to say that something never will or will would be speaking in hypotheticals, but at least we can put the tools in place to encourage growth. And I don't think we ever have in that area before. We've never done anything really to proactively move to develop that area economically.
2700 though, Sarah, was never intended to be a stop and shop road. It's always been a pass-through road, North Ogden stuff, and Pleasant View residents to get to the city. It's 50 miles an hour through there. And I think we have this idea that we have this cash cow on 2700.
Why do all the experts say that it is?
I don't see it. If it was, it would be developed. I mean, we have much, the Fleming piece there on corner 2700 and 1000. In my mind, I wish I could buy that and have something there. We have the northwest side, or I don't know, Mayor, whatever direction that is, opposite the Pepsi plant. That is some commercial there. That's an area. By Dave's Chevron, that's an area. And then our CDA area down below, I mean, those are areas that we need to set aside. I 100% agree. Those will be a cluster. Those will be an area to move to. I don't know. The access along 2700, I just don't think it's going to be what, and Anna, I respect what you say. We don't want to react later on. I just don't see it happening there. And maybe it's 30, 40 years down the road and we preserve it for that. I don't know. I just don't see it.
Mayor, can I make a comment?
Go ahead, Kevin.
This is a little bit hard to say. Those of us that have been involved with meeting with the three people that we had joint meetings with the Planning Commission with we've heard the pitch from those that are marketing Northern Utah. And all three of those, as Sarah mentioned, all three of them said, yes, you need to be more proactive. I have friends that own property there. I hate to raise their taxes. I sort of agree with Steve, but I've been to those meetings and listened to the experts. And I think we need to be more proactive than we've been in the past. That's for sure. Are there other options that we could look at? But I don't know what they'd be. I think we've talked enough, especially in those other meetings, we've talked enough to know that if we want any commercial to come on to 2700, whether it's a pass-through road or not, if we want anything to come through there, then this is something that's got to happen sooner or later.
Mayor, a question as well, or comments?
Yeah, Dave.
Yeah, so I agree with Kevin. I mean, it is hard to go raise taxes there, but we need to remember that probably 90%, maybe, I don't know the actual percentages, but a high percentage of them are already in Greenbelt. Their taxes are not going to be increased because of this change. Granted, there are a few that haven't been actively pursuing that, but could pursue it and reduce their taxes. And, that one example, that the Belknap property, I mean, it would cost way less to make that an agriculture property than paying 1 year's of taxes. So, and they would reduce that and probably have some productivity off of it. They could lease it to somebody to do that. So I don't see a problem on raising the taxes part of it. Back to Steve's comment, Highway 89, Washington Boulevard, Riverdale Road, all of those were planned as pass-through streets. And now they're all commercial. There's commercial all up and down every one of them. And UDOT wants to make it through, but I don't want to be driving through Pleasant View to spend my money in North Ogden on a fast street. And I think it's about time that we need to be proactive in making this commercial plan. And I agree with the comments that have been made on that. So I think there's a lot we can do to make 2700 and 2550 very high flow streets and still have a lot of commercial along there. So I have some ideas on that, and I just think it's time we be proactive in it.
I would agree. This is just one step in the larger piece of the pie. This is not the only step.
Okay. No further discussion. I'd entertain a motion on ordinance 2020-12.
Mayor, I'll make that motion to approve the rezone for all of these parcels. I don't know how I need to say it, but
2020-12.
2020-12 for all of the parcels listed in the agenda.
I'll second that.
Before we vote, I have one other question, Mayor, is that all right?
Go ahead.
There's two properties north of 2700 to the east of the ones listed on there, and maybe Jill could show her thing. Are those already C2 zoning? I know there's a plan for a church or something there. They're C2s, right, Jill? I was wondering why they weren't included. I couldn't remember. I just was curious.
Yeah, they're already zoned that way.
Okay.
And is the Fleming property across the highway already C2?
West of Highway 89.
West of Highway 89.
I think it
Yeah.
is.
Yes, that's right.
It's commercial.
Okay.
All right.
Building
This was,
Waiting to be admitted. Can you let him in, please?
who is?
Oh, yeah, I got him. Thank you.
All right. All in favor of the motion to approve ordinance 2020-12? Let's see, it's a roll call vote. Arrington,
Yes.
Haley,
Yes.
Gibson,
No.
Marriott,
Yes.
and Yuri.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-1. Thank you. Next item will be public hearing again to discussion and possible action to consider a rezone from A2 to RE15 for parcels 17-62-121 and 17-062-0122 located approximately 973 West, 3200 North. Ordinance number 2020-13. Jill.
Do you need a motion to go into public hearing?
Yeah, sorry. Thank you.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Arrington and second by Bailey. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, we're in a public hearing. Jill.
Okay. So Brock is on now. He's our applicant. It is located, if you know the area, right here is the Orchard Springs Elementary School. If you head down that street, you'll run right into the Blaisdell property. So to kind of let you know why we have this rezone presented before you is Brock Winsler is purchasing a portion of the Blaisdell property, which is right next to him. Brock's property, there it is this piece right here. He purchased that from Ron Jensen and is hoping to be able to put a home on soon. But he's purchasing a piece from the Blaisdells. And currently the Blaisdell property is A2. And if you look at it, it is actually doesn't fit an A2. It's smaller than an A2. And by purchasing a piece, the Winsler property would be actually a half-acre lot, along with the Blaisdells would just be barely over an acre. And so to make it compliant, we are, the request is to have it be RE20. So as you can tell, the green is an A2, the dark green is an RE15. And to make it match what the actual size is, and because they are going to be doing a minor subdivision, and to make that work is they needed a rezone. And off to the right, you see the future land use map, which it does show 2 to 3 units per acre, which it does fit in that. If you can see that, there's their minor subdivision, which they're working on. So first, again, we have to do the rezone. We looked through everything. It meets the future zoning map. It meets the general plan. The city engineer and the planning department have all looked through it, and we see absolutely no issues whatsoever. And it's actually in the process again for the minor subdivision. We received one comment from Joel Jed, who lives down the road from this property. He just wanted to make sure what the zone was, and he said, okay, put it on the record. He has no problem with it, and he's actually excited for the home to go up. He wants it to look a lot nicer than what it currently was with the weeds. So that's what we got on.
Is that the correct name? I think his name is Joel Judd. Is that?
Maybe I have backwards.
Yeah.
Yes, but he does live down the road. He's actually quite nice. And that's all I have. It's pretty cut and dry. We had no issues, and we're proposing recommendation to you guys. The planning commission was fine with it. They had no issues, and they recommended approval as well.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Jill, wasn't there a property to the west of them that was in this as well? I thought that was included in the zone.
Not in the zone changes. That's just for subdivision.
Right. So let me show you.
Oh, okay. So
it's already RE15.
Are part of the rezone. They're doing a minor subdivision because lot 1 and 3 are actually not part of a subdivision and aren't accounted for the water and other things. So the process that they have to go through in order to build a home is they have to go through a quick minor subdivision, which the rezone had to happen first. That's why. But this is the design, and that's part of the requirement for the rezone is they have to kind of show us what their hopes or what they were planning on doing with the property.
Jill, Mayor, can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Jill, is that little panhandle at the bottom at the south of the east lot?
Mm-hmm.
Is that an easement?
That is actually, that's the portion that they're purchasing from the Blaze. So right here, there it goes. Right here.
Yeah.
They are actually purchasing from the Blaisdells. The property line was right here where that dotted line was.
Okay.
That will, once we really dig into it, it could be an easement. not sure what that's the process we're looking at with the minor subdivision. That's a good question.
Well, it just seems odd shaped. They're
Yes.
gonna have a big dog kennel there or something.
That's where they're going to put their swimming pool, but it's just a lap pool.
Just a lap pool, yeah.
Assuming that's what they needed to get the necessary square footage. I don't know.
For the
Hey,
front
this is
end
Brock.
and
This is Brock. I'm the property owner. I tried to convince the Blaisdells to end the 12 feet that I was purchasing, end it there at the south side of my lot. But their preference was to not have a jog in their lot, which makes sense. And so we just extended it down to the south of that property line. I have considered at some point reaching out to the Whipples who have the lot to the south of me to see if they, want to include that into their lot, and I would just hand it over to them. But anyways, I guess for now I might have to get a dog.
It wasn't a suggestion, Brock. That was just a.
Any other public comments? If not, entertain motion to close. The public.
No comments on this item.
Move that we go out of public hearing.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Bailey, second by Marriott, to close the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, any questions for Jill or Brock? Or seems pretty straightforward. So if not,
Just a correction on the ordinance. Change the RE15 to RE20 in section 1. Just on the ordinance.
oh, instead of,
So they'll both be RE20?
instead of A2, you're changing it. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Just
I'm
go from
asking.
A2 to RE20 on the whole thing, I'm assuming.
Jill?
So both lots would be RE20.
Yeah, it says already 15 on the
Yeah.
agenda.
Oh, RE20. Okay.
Staff report is correct.
And entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 2020-13 with a revision that was mentioned about RE15 to RE20.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion in a second. Further discussion. Roll call vote. Harrington,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Marriott,
Yes.
Yuri.
Yes.
All right, motion carries unanimous. Item on the agenda is public hearing and discussion, possible action to consider amending the 2020-2021 fiscal year budget, resolution 2020-Q. Laurie, entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Bailey, second by Yuri. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Laurie?
In your packet, we're going to be amending the budget for 2 items. One of them is going to be for a police officer that would start just for a half of a year, starting from January to June. And we're going to amend the budget for our sales tax revenue. I've taken another look at it, and that has been coming in higher than we were anticipating. I'm still kind of cautious that we don't go too high on my estimates. So I'm guessing we can still up it another $275,000 on our sales tax. And the other reason we're going to be amending the budget is for that additional on that land purchase on Highway 89 for $100,000 and sharing that between the water, sewer, and storm sewer departments. And in your packet also, you have kind of an outline of the police officer on the expenditures, what it does cost for an officer. And then Ryan can tell you more about the officer.
Okay, Ryan?
I know several weeks ago we talked about the way things are changing in the country, the state, the community, the types of crime. You know, this COVID thing has kind of held people hostage and they're restless. We're getting a lot more violent type calls, threatened suicides and the violence, the assaults, sex offenses are all way up. As of today, we're 1,088 cases ahead of last year at this time. And what we're looking at is trying to get double coverage. These guys are going into a lot of these calls by themselves, and they're getting more and more violent, and we're getting calls stacked up that need immediate attention, and we can't get to them quick enough with only one officer on duty. So we've looked at schedules, we've adjusted schedules every which way we can. But investigations got 75 cases they're working on. That's 2 officers. School resources tied up at Weber High. One of the sergeants is the day car. The other sergeant is the only place we have double coverage. So we're still going about half the time on single coverage, and it's getting dangerous. It's we're going to have a problem. It's not if, but when. We've had them before, and I think the chances of having somebody hurt or the public not getting the attention they need when they need it. I think these are the 2 issues that we need to consider. An additional officer would give us another 40 hours of double coverage a week. And sometime in the near future after that, we can consider another one to give us double coverage around the clock. And that would be our goal. Right now, we'd like to petition for 1 officer beginning in January. I think you have the figures there, approximate cost, somewhere in the neighborhood $58,000, $59,000 approximately to fund it for the 6-month period. We are prepared to use an existing vehicle that we have until July. It's one that we semi-retired as a spare car. We can pull that out for the next 6 months, and then July, with the new budget, anticipate getting a replacement marked vehicle. A lot of the issues with single coverage, not only that's if everybody's here, but we're still working with officers being off at vacation, sick leave, comp time, training, this type of thing. One of the sergeants is off this week for personal issues and health issues, and we're running single coverage most all week. And so what we do is sit and hold our breath that nothing happens. We had a serious call this week that required 2 officers. Luckily, I was around and able to help on that. And I'll go into that on our department report in a few minutes. So we'd like to see another officer approved for January. And I'd like to get moving on it in December so we can get some info out to start our recruitment. And we've been pretty lucky in the last few years of acquiring experienced, good officers, and we're going to try to spin our magic again and do it again. And we'll see where that is. I'll keep everybody up to speed on where we're at. But in December, if we could, by the 1st December, we'd like to get moving on this if it's approved. I appreciate your cooperation on this. Thank you very much. Any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions from the public?
I have one comment, Mayor, if I may.
Sure.
Jonathan L. says, I'll take that job. I have a baseball bat that used in Major League Baseball, and I only need $15,000 a year, LOL. So that's his comment.
All righty. Seeing none others, I'd entertain a motion to go out of the public hearing.
I'll make that. Oh, I'll second it.
Motion by Yuri, second by Arrington. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Back to the council. Council, questions, comments? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we pass resolution 2020-Q, the resolution to amend the 2020-21 fiscal year budget.
I'll second that.
Motion by Bailey, second by Arrington. Roll call vote. Arrington,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Marriott,
Yes.
Yuri,
Yes.
All right. Item number 5 is discussion and possible action to grant preliminary subdivision plat approval to Lindy's Loft subdivision located at approximately 3367 North, 1000 West, and 3479 North, 1000 West, parcel number 176247, 176236, and 176243. Applicant Alicia Spencer, presenter Jill. Jill.
Sorry, I had her and go answer my door because I'm the only one home, except for my children. Okay, sorry. Pulling everything back up. We have. Oh, come on, computer. Okay. It's Lindy's Loft, right?
Yep.
Okay. Sorry, I'm all skiwampus now. Okay, so I'm just sharing my screen really quick. This is the location. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. That is just off of 1000.
Are you sharing your screen, Jill? We're not seeing anything. Oh, there it goes.
There we go.
There we go.
Thank you.
Okay. So, whew. Sorry, I ran. Now I'm out of breath. So as you can tell, it's right off of 1000. It's the Stimson and Singleton property. Here's the application, as you can tell. Alicia is actually on the call with us, or on the Zoom with us. So there's currently 3 lots right now, but it will be turning into 23 lots. Come on. There we go. Both property owners have signed their affidavits, and this is the layout of the subdivision. It's kind of tilted. This is the only way I could get it to fit on the screen so you could actually have a good look at everything. So down here is 1000. Right about here is where this Stimson home currently is. But as you can tell, the road will go through. It should tee off and up north, which would be up here. You'll have a temporary roundabout right here into parcel B. And as you go down, you'll have this little cul-de-sac, and parcel A is where the retention or the detention pond is. Currently, there's a little triangle piece that has actually been purchased and will be part of the subdivision. Here's a better look so you can kind of see all the homes in the neighborhood. It actually does fit very well. We've talked to Dana and Tyson about the detention pond, and calculation and everything will work, and everything's been taken care of. They're going to stub everything to the property line up north. Again, so that way when that property to the north decides to develop or whatever happens with it, they can continue those utilities north. The fire marshal has said he's good with it. Again, Dana's fine. Dana's good with it. Jim has been wonderful to work with Dana with any little modifications or changes that we need to make sure that those that do end up living there have the things that they need, especially with everyone else around. It doesn't disturb them either. We did get one comment on this project. Scott Turner, he had concerns that the homes were so close to the backyard. I did explain to him that it is the same zone that he's in. It just happens to be where his home sits, it curves. So the lots were a little bit bigger, and especially with the corner.
Which one is Scott's? Which
Scott, I believe. Oh, where's my
Number 28 at the top.
28 right at the top.
Okay.
I can't move. There it is. So Scott's right there. I was thinking it's either 28 or 30. So his lot is a little bit bigger, but that's how his subdivision was designed. Lindy's Loft does meet all of the standards, both the city standards, the zone standards. So again, that's why we had absolutely no issues. And did you have a question?
No, I was waving goodbye to Dave there. He's saying goodbye.
Bye, Dave.
And so, I mean, they've worked and done a lot of changes to make sure everything was up to standards and that everything would be okay and work. And so parcel A and B would be dedicated to the city. Again, parcel A is the detention pond. And we would naturally take care of that anyway. Is there any questions for me or anything?
I just had a quick question. When we do temporary roundabouts, do they have to be like road base, or what is our ordinance on that?
Good question. If it depends on the type of subdivision that you're doing. For example, if it's a phased approach, if it is the next phase is done within so long, we wouldn't make it asphalted. But our standard is if it is not a phased approach, or for example, like Lindy's Loft, there's the one phase and that's it. It will be asphalted. It won't have curb and gutter where the temporary turnaround is, but it will have asphalt, so that way it's easier for both the plows as it comes and fire and those that for emergency purposes would be better for them.
Jill, in a phased approach though, can it be just dirt or does it have to have road base?
Road base.
Okay.
Then quick question, if I may. That parcel, I can't read the number. The one we're talking about at the roundabout. What happens to that when the Wells finally develop the land behind their place? You said it was going to be this designated to the city, but what happens to that where the roundabout is when it's not needed anymore?
So it was requested. I don't know tons about that aspect. I know Tyson wanted it for a staging area and for a walking path along the canal and possibly a couple other things. So to be honest, when the Wells decide to develop and if we still need it, we'll leave it. If not, I'm not sure what the city will decide at that point.
Because that is right under the canal, right?
Yep, the canal is
Right there.
right here.
Okay.
Right there.
All right, just wondered. Thank you.
Is it all right if I make a motion to close the public hearing?
We're not
in a public
Oh,
hearing.
good. Then we should close it. Just kidding.
Don't close it. There's no open.
We're ready for a vote. How about that?
Perfect.
Whoa.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve parcel number 17-062, 0047, 0046, and 0043, as specified in our agenda.
I'll second the motion.
Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Unanimous. Thank you. Item number 6. Discussion and possible action to grant Final subdivision. An escrow approval to the Orchard Phase 3 subdivision located at approximately 3225 North, 1000 West. Applicant Craig North, presenter Jill.
It's me again. Told you I'm taking up most of your meeting. Sorry. This is the last one for the night, I promise, from me anyway. So Craig North, this is the property just off of 1000 and 3200 North. We brought it before you and we made some modifications with the sidewalks. So now he is ready for his final. He actually just had his pre-con today and he's ready to get moving. Let's see. Again, so here's the layout. And if hopefully you were able to look over your packet that I sent out. The requirements are all there and he's actually met every single one of them. The only thing we're waiting on is the Mylar, which he's going to be bringing soon, which we can get the signatures on. He does have the escrow and I did verify it is there, ready to go. And it's a legitimate agreement, which again, that's another reason why we're here, is to make sure the agreement, the escrow agreement is approved through you guys, if you approve of that. He is going to be putting the sidewalk in and making those modifications that we spoke about. The only thing that Craig and I were talking about building wise is that garage, and he's going to make sure that the setbacks are accurate. If it's not, then they're gonna take care of that, but that's the building aspect. Other than that, everything's great. Staff, let me rephrase that, both engineering and the planning department are comfortable and feel that this is ready for final. Craig has applied and done everything he's needed to be able to come before you for their final with the escrow and all the other requirements. So we're recommending approval. So yeah, any questions for me?
Mayor, I'll make the motion to grant final subdivision plat and escrow approval to the Orchards Phase 3 subdivision as stated in item number 6.
I'll second the motion.
Mayor, you're muted.
All right. Motion by Gibson, second by Bailey. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Great. Item 7, closed meeting. Bill? Bill's
You're muted, Bill.
You're still muted.
Still muted.
It's
Third
supposed to-
time's charm. There you go.
It's supposed to unmute you when you push the space bar. I'm sorry. Yeah, we do have a couple of things related to property acquisition.
Okay. I'd entertain a motion to go into closed meeting to discuss property acquisition.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Bailey, second by you. This require a roll call vote. Yes. Yuri,
Yes.
Rankin,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
and Dave Merritt has excused himself from the meeting.